Database Concepts by Armando J. Macias. Entity. Entities can be single person, place, or thing which data can be stored in. Entity types are any type of object you wish to store data about. For this example, you will use an accounting firm. Accounting firms need to keep data from customers and suppliers. So these are the data that you will have for each supplier and customer. Entity instances are part of an instance. Here, the entity is person, and the entity instance is Brad Pitt. And weak entities are entities that rely on other entities or foreign attributes to exist. In this example, buildings will not be able to exist with rooms will not be able to exist without buildings. Sorry. So you see the correlation between the two. Attributes are properties and characteristics of an entity. They are required attributes, which are attributes that require a value. So for this one, we will go back to your accounting. For a customer, you will need a customer ID, and you need the customer first name and last name to be able to keep track of them. Now I'm recording the project.
Oh, cool.
Database concepts. An entity can be a single person, place, or thing which data can be stored in. There's entity types. Entity types are any type of object you wish to store data about. For accounting firms, they need to store data about customers and suppliers. That's why they have a customer ID, then the first name, the last name. And suppliers, they have the supplier ID. Entity instance is a part of an entity. As in this example, the entity is person, and the entity instance is Brad Pitt. That's the name, a male, and he's an actor. Here we have weak entities, which are entities that rely on other entities and foreign attributes to exist. Room, it's a weak entity because it's circled in 4 and will not be able to exist without building. So it is weak, and we actually notify it by having it in 2 boxes. Attributes. Attributes are properties or characteristics of an entity. Required attributes are attributes that require a value. If you're doing your accounting firm, you have to have the customer entity, the customer ID, and also the first and last name of your customer to keep track of them. Optional attributes are attributes which do not require a value, hence it's optional. Here you will have your employees. You will have your employee ID, which is required, your first and last name, and your birthday. But the favorite pie, you will not need to have it, hence it's optional. For composite attributes are attributes that can be divided into smaller subparts which represent more basic attributes. Here's a customer entity. So the customer ID, and here the address. It can be divided into street, city, zip code. So those are the smaller attributes. So that address can be known as a composite attribute in this area. Derived attributes are attributes of which their value can be determined from values of other attributes. Hence here, birthday of your employee. If you want to know their current age, you can just look at the birthday and look at the current date. So from then on, you can derive the current age. Here are the relationship types. A relationship type is used to model the relationship between entities. So here we have the relationship instance, which pertains only to the relationship between instances of an identity. Here you will have a movie. Movie actors. Brad Pitt is an actor, so they both relate because they're using that main instance. So if you want to go actors, the movie entity will relate to the person entity by choosing the name of the actor. Degree of relationship. Declare how many entity types share on the relationship. So here we have movie and we have actors. And by having the movie and the actors, they relate with each other. So main actors correlates to Brad Pitt, and director may have been Brad Pitt too, depending on the movie. So that's what the various. There's three different degrees of relationship: unary, binary, and ternary. We will look at those right now. So we have the unary relationship, which is the relationship between entities of the same type. Here we have subject and the subject ID, which the relationship goes prerequisite for and goes back. So this is a loop relationship that we have. Many subjects are prerequisites of one another. So the loop just keeps going like this. And they're the same type since you see they're type object, subject. Now we go into binary relationships, which are the relationships between two different entity types. Here we have a teacher and teacher ID and subject ID. So the teacher teaches a subject and the subject may be taught by a teacher. So you have two different entities which are teacher and subject. So this is the binary relationship. A ternary relationship occurs when three different types of entities relate to each other. Here you have Cal Poly Pomona, which is a university, and they can keep track of both the teacher, the subject, and the course. So they are relating three different entities, which are the teacher, subject, and course, and one main point is accessing them. Now we move on to cardinality constraints, which basically are instructions how to interpret the relationship between entities. Maximum cardinality refers to a limit of instances that can be related upon one entity, can be interpreted as always one or many, and minimum cardinality is always 1 or 0. If 0, it is optional. If 1 or more, then it's mandatory. Here we have the various cardinalities. I'll give you examples later on. So here we have mandatory 1. Since it's 2 or more, we have minimum cardinality. That means that it is mandatory. And here we have optional 1. So since it's 1, you have the option of only having one of those things. Here we have mandatory many. Since it's 1, you have to have many suppliers, many subjects to choose from. And here it is optional to have many providers. So we go for the cardinality examples. We have 1 to 1. Here we have the different examples, and those are a principal manages one department, and the department is managed by one principal. We have 1 to many, which is a subject is offered various semesters, but various semesters only have one subject. Here we have many to many, which is many teachers can teach various subjects, and various subjects can be taught by teachers. Well, this ends the presentation. Hopefully, you guys understood a bit more about cardinality examples, entity, and editing types. Okay, have a good day. Bye.